Tuch getting ready? I saw he was out for this game.
He is, yeah. Unless you saw something out there that I didn't see, he's ready.
What's your message to them after a night like the other night going into this one?
Well, the other night was disappointing on many fronts. My message to them is based on how much do I think they can. What was their interpretation? What do I think their natural response is? Where might I need to pick up from that? I don't think there was anybody in that locker room that didn't look in the mirror or needed me to go after them, harder than normal. So I would expect our response to be good tonight, play with much more energy and passion. We just looked flat the other night, and I think that'll change.
I asked Tage that. He immediately said we got to get to the net. And we talked about how that's as much, if not more, a mentality as it is a physicality. Yeah. Is that something you expect out of them?
It's interesting because we all in the sport of hockey revert to, we got to get to the net. Well, but what we have to realize is when we're not playing the way we need to play, you don't get to the net. When you play the way you need to play, you do get to the net. You play an aggressive style, you get to the net, you don't even know you're to the net. So should we focus on getting to the net or should we focus on playing aggressive? And we need to focus on playing aggressive. By virtue of that, I have complete faith. Hockey players, hockey teams get to the net playing aggressive. When you see them on the perimeter more, they're playing passive. They might not feel themselves. The intent isn't there. And so I think the playing an aggressive, being better rested, being better mind framed to play aggressive, by virtue of that, you're going to get to the net more.
Obviously, there's a lot of buzz around the matchup and Jack coming back, but when we were talking to Tage, he said he's just another star in another jersey on the other side of the ice. What has the internal talk or maybe quelling of the talk been about the Jack Eichel?
Yeah, Tage's comment, we speak like that quite a bit. You play, one night you're playing Colorado and it's Nathan McKinnon and Landeskog, and then Edmonton it's Draisaitl and McDavid, and the next night it's Crosby and Malkin and Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews, Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner on Toronto. So, you're in the NHL. There are star players every night you're going to play. So we don't speak a lot about the specific player because it's the star player, the top players in the other team. It's the top skill in the league that you're playing against. So we want consistency, and that's consistent every night. You're going to play top teams and top players. And tonight, the opposing team is Vegas, but their top players are just like everybody else's top players, and they're so we want to identify with the consistencies of that, of game in and game out. It's 82 games for us. This is one of 82, although you do recognize that there was a big trade made between the two teams. You can't, and that's something fans and media and you have to write stories. Those are great stories. We have to play hockey. It's just like another game. And if we don't take care of it like we didn't take care of things the other night, your outcome's not going to be favorable. You're not even going to feel good. So we need to focus on that. And I think that's what our players say. It's not to diminish, a trade we made with them or the fact that a former teammate in Jack's over. It's not to diminish any of that. It's not to snowball and say, we really don't care about that. Is if we do care too much about that, we're not going to be able to do our job. And I think that's what our guys, they understand that, and we have to understand that. Our job is to play. It's not to get involved in hype.
To be fair, Don, and I get exactly what you said. There was an electric energy in that building a year ago or back in March when Jack was on the ice and you won that game. Is that something that may be much needed for a team that needs a bit of a pick-me-up after what happened?
Yeah, don't misinterpret anything I've said as far as it did not diminish the electric energy. I said you guys need to write stories on that, on the trade and the trades, and fans enjoy that. And when we show up and go on the ice, when there's more energy and you say electric energy in the building, absolutely you feel that, and it's awesome. So that's a benefit of maybe having two teams make a trade like this. There's more to it, but at the end of the day, we need to feed off of that energy. That energy has to help us. We still have to stay, and it does help us. It did help us last time we were in this situation. But if we weren't ready to win a hockey game, we wouldn't have taken advantage of that energy last season. A game we played against them. I thought our guys fed off of that very well. I thought it helped them. I remember standing here after the game and saying how much the crowd helped us and helped push our guys get excited about, but they have to stay on task. And that's the difference.
Is that kind of the fuel of the fire there? That's an interesting take on it because, whatever tension still exists from the outside looking in, whether it's the fan base and Jack's post-game comments last year or whatever, is that how they've kind of turned that internally within the room to kind of to benefit from whatever tension?
I don't think we've turned anything. We just are focused on us. And the circumstances tonight are different than the circumstances when you go play Colorado, but there's still pretty powerful circumstances all over the league every night you go in. So I don't think we've turned anything or changed anything, and nor do we want to. We want to take in different experiences that could pull us off a game plan, could pull us off a sense of objective, and just stay on target.
My last follow-up on that is when we were talking to Casey, and I asked him a similar question. He said, we want to win for Krebs and Tuch.
Yeah.
I kind of thought that was interesting of how maybe a corner's been turned coming off the trade, and maybe that's part of the motivation.
Yeah, I think that's a healthy motivation because you have a care and a love for your teammate, and let's face it, when you play a former team, I don't care who you are, you're playing a former team. There is something there, but when you say that, it's one thing to say it, but you got to know how to do it, and that's again staying on, the whatever we outline as a strategy and staying on objective, and things can get too hyped that you lose that sense. I mean, let's face it, 5 minutes left in an NFL game or 5 minutes left in an NHL game, everything ramps up. It's totally different than the first 90% of the game. It's like a different level. It's like it goes from regular season to playoffs the last 5 minutes of games. That replicating that intensity, that could happen earlier in environments, that you go in certain buildings, certain nights in certain buildings, or certain rivalries, us and, some of our biggest rivals. But those are the moments that, are growth moments. You need to see the guys that can stick to task and deal with that extra excitement or that focus that could slide somewhere else. And I say it all the time, it's great to play great teams. This is a great team that's hitting on all cylinders, and I would much rather play them than a team not in that situation.
With that in mind, you talked about getting to your game, and this is the best defensive team in the National Hockey League right now. How big of an obstacle is that to you getting to the skating game and the game you want to see your players play?
I'm confident we can get to our game. That's my thought on it.
Actually, to piggyback off of,
But I like the challenge, Paul. I love it. So.
to piggyback off of Adam, obviously the buzz and the good stories, all that is great, and always seems to be the Eichel side of it. But no disregard to Tuch, who's been great and productive and successful for you guys. Almost 365 days to the date since he's been here. What has Tuch brought to this team?
He brings a lot. I think our fans and people that watch us, I can identify with what he brings. He's got a passion for the Sabres and a history with, as a kid growing up a Sabre fan, an energy, a life that, every night there's, he's an exciting, energized guy. He is very similar to the same behind the scenes as well. I'd say behind the scenes there's also a real, intense, serious side to him and his training and his dedication as an athlete. So he's another player. I think he added to what was already happening here before he got here. He added, the flavor of what I mentioned to something that was already moving in a direction. And I think he felt that direction right away, and it got him even more excited. He kind of felt that, saw the vision, and it's been a great blend for us.
What sticks out about this Vegas team most to you?
Depth. Their defensive end is some very experienced, talented guys in the defense, and defense is you can play a defenseman 30 minutes a game, so they can control the game and dictate the pace of the game. But they have depth all the way through. They have lines that are different identities, lines that are heavy forechecking lines and force turnovers, and then other lines that do a lot more through intelligence, maybe more calculated effort. So it's a very balanced and good team. I've coached against Bruce Cassidy at several levels now, and he's he's a friend and he's a hell of a coach, and he's done a great job with this team already.